The most important thing I want to share is that it's the experience and that process of doing startup that I'm very passionate about. But at the same time, it's so hard to find somebody who understands what you're going through, like the struggles.
It's super hard to do a startup by yourself, especially its venture scale. Even though you are a solo founder, you need a supportive environment and ecosystem around you.
It's an interesting timing because in a year, I feel I'm going from the highest point to the lowest point.
No one can eat the same food every single
That's
day.
so boring.
With a low sodium, low carb intake. So I thought this would be game changing.
I got really curious, like opening up, and it was like hundreds of business cards of people that left the company.
Welcome to the first episode of the Upturn podcast, where we explore the roller coaster journeys of startups from setbacks to success. I'm your host Brian, and alongside me are my co-hosts Tian, Kevin, and Tai. How are we doing today, guys?
Got my tea ready.
Doing awesome. Besides the weird weather today in Palo Alto, it's all raining.
Feeling excited?
Definitely, yeah, I'm already well worked out.
A nice suit today.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Kevin is sweating from setting up 10 cameras in front of us today. So.
Yeah, we should have had a BTS cam, right, to record all the equipment that we have, and Kevin brought here.
Yeah.
It's quite a scene here.
No, we got it on the 360.
Oh, we got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
We got a professional photographer here.
Yeah, it's okay. I charge based on the income of the client. Just kidding.
TLDR, exactly. We're ready to go. Since this is our first ever episode, why don't we start by introducing ourselves? We have 4 people here, so maybe we can start with the one-liner introduction first, and then we can ask each other one question to delve deeper into everyone's story here, if that works. And I can start with an example. Yeah, I'm Brian. I work in finance and strategy at a FAANG company as my full-time job. I'm also a crypto/DeFi analyst and a podcaster on the side, where I interview Web3 founders and builders during the deep bear market. I'm very excited to kick off this project with everyone here. For our listeners, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of what this podcast is about in a few minutes, so bear with us. And that's my introduction. Who wants to go next?
Hi everyone, I'm Tai. So I also work in business strategy and operation strategy at a FAANG company. Is that fun?
No,
Actually,
I actually don't know.
It's actually man.
It's not that fun. It's
Okay. Oh yeah,
Man,
maybe some company is not in this list. This name should change, but I'm just kidding. Besides that, actually working in crypto from an early startup for a year last year. So kind of from the hype time to the bear market time, I would be interested to explore all the kind of startup pitfalls and how the startup turn around from it with everyone together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Kevin Xie. I'm an ex-FAANG PM and 2 times co-founders at the startups. And I pretty much have been building a lot of the most cutting-edge products in the past 11 years, from IoT to not Web3. I was interested in it, but Brian and Tai can cover that. But also, I'm more focused on kind of like IoT and AR/VR products. You know, I'm currently working on a Gen AI product, and I can't wait to share with you more later. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yay, excited! Yeah, I feel very honored to sit next to 3 product business people. I'm the only one with engineering background here.
Actually, I have an engineering background.
Oh,
Sorry.
wow.
I'm
Yeah.
biomedical engineering.
It's different. It's
It's
okay.
different.
You don't know about software engineering, right?
Actually, I took software engineering.
Oh.
So biomedical is a little bit of everything, but master of none. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's like a PM.
I'm just trying to check to make sure when I bullshit about softwares, nobody finds out I got technical details wrong. Because I would pretend I know everything about technical details as an engineer for 6 years, but actually no.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
I'm no longer engineers. Now I'm an investor in early stage startups
Nice.
and mostly in SaaS robotics and a lot of infrastructures. I did invest in Web3 infra and I'm still counting on that to come back. Hopefully if the rats.
Fingers crossed. Not financial advice, guys.
Yeah. This is not financial. Like,
Okay, now it's time for us to ask each other questions. Maybe I'll start by asking Kevin a question, if that's okay. I was
Yeah, go
super
ahead.
interested. What's the difference between working at a FAANG company, because you said you're a PM at one of the FAANG companies, and doing your own startup?
Yeah, that's a great question. Maybe I can keep it simple and high level for now, but we can dive deeper if any of you have questions. I think the biggest thing is like the impact, the financial impact, right? Or even like ownership of products. like at a FAANG company, definitely there's the project, the scope, and the cross-functional communication is like heavily involved with a lot of people, right? So maybe for a quick example is for like one of the biggest startup I helped to grow from like 20 to 120 people. I was mostly working with like maybe 20 to 30 engineers. But when I was at the FAANG company, I actually worked with like 200 engineers. So a lot of like XFN, like communication, a lot of meeting just to make sure everybody's aligned. Yeah, versus startup where a decision might be like made much quicker. Maybe in the morning you talk to some engineer and some customer, and then you just have to build it and then test it.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if your KPI is met, because if the company fail, you lose job. So it's a little bit different on how like the impacts being defined. But like it also depends on the type of products, right? So it's software, hardware versus those different kind of product also depends. Yeah. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely tell Kevin is a like startup person, because every time we had sort of debate over some details about the podcast, what the name should be, right? What's the most catchy name for this podcast? We would have all sorts of discussion and evidence to back our argument, right? And Kevin would pin us, be like, there's no right or wrong. Let's just get the first episode out and see what it looks like.
Just test wrong and see how it
Just
plays
test and
out.
see how
Right, yeah. That's a startup spirit. Love it.
Yeah, I'm actually quite interested in your background. I just want to curious about your journey from like maybe from the software engineering to investing. What's the difference and how do you like it so far?
Oh yeah, so I think it's okay to talk about my Uber experience. I joined Uber 2017, so that was still at the time Uber was transitioning from a startup into a more big corporation style. So at the time, well, I could be wrong, but anyway, so at the time, not all code has unit test at Uber. So we were trying to improve the code coverage from like 30-20% in some repositories. So it was relatively still the early phases. It still had some startup vibe, but it wasn't that much. I stayed at Uber for 6 years, so that was a quite long journey for me. But actually, I think towards the year 3 or 4, I started to feel there's a limitation in my engineering career. Especially, there's really two routes. So first, you can go with the IC ladder. You can be like senior and then staff and then principal. So I don't see myself in any of that. Not for me. And another, you can go with engineering management route, which is you become a small engineering lead, and then maybe some senior manager left, or you manage a lot of people, you take them into small. Well, basically, we all know about it. It's like called empire building. Well, I think it's no secret to most people in Silicon Valley, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, the engineer manager route is just a lot of meetings and try to recruit more people, get scopes. So for me, there's a point for me to think about, are those interest to me at all? And then there's another third possibility is to maybe switch to be a product manager. So actually, there's not much Asian product manager around. So actually, my team was mostly composed of Asian engineers. But all the PMs, product people, they are all white. So it's a very interesting setup. So actually, I thought about being a product manager, but later I feel like probably not. I'm not super into meetings as well. So neither of the three ways sounds super appealing to me. So definitely it was a time for me to take a step back, say, what do I want in my own career? What's my way forward? And I explored a lot of startup ideas. I think maybe because Uber is no longer a startup, I don't feel like I own enough impact. Everything moves so slow, and everything, well, you know about the big corporations. They need to go compliance, and they need to be respectful to other teams, and it's just the progress is feeling very slow and stuck for me. And I explored the startup world. And then, very interestingly, I think I stepped into some venture communities. And then I find that's actually the group of people I want to be with. The startup people, they are different from engineers, although they do come from engineering backgrounds, but they are the risk-taking people. and also they are not happy with the routine life. That's something I personally find start to take a burner on me at the time during my 3-4 years into engineering. So I did start on side and also did deal sourcing for some venture funds, and also probably do some deal visit with them as well. They asked me about some SaaS deals because I know more about the technical details. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Just talking to new people and new project every day, almost I feel like it's a healing process for me, because I feel like I got buried in the corporate life for so long, really got limited in a small scope. And every day I wake up and I'm just talking about, okay, those are the teams I'm gonna talk to, try to push them to go that way. And this task, I'm trying to push it to see if others will do it. That I'm get blocked by blah, blah, blah. So those things are not things I want to wake up for. So those are that's basically how I wake up, say I want to change something more. And eventually with some exploration, I have to say with some luck, I landed in a VC job that, well, I would say it's not easy to just interview for, because VC jobs are not posted anywhere. It's mostly just word of mouth, because I've been, rooted in the VC community, startup community for 2 years. So some people start to know me and they start to refer me to different funds, and I got even headhunters going after me, say, hey, would you be interested in joining this VC or that? And I started to put my roots down in VC, and eventually I'm like, I feel like this is my dream career, and I enjoy doing podcasts, so I could be a venture capitalist potentially, and I took the leap earlier this year, and now I'm on my first episode podcast officially. I feel great about myself.
The biggest takeaway is that you have to have a podcast to be a venture capitalist.
Oh, yeah, it feels, I feel a lot of time the imposter syndrome if I go into an event with no podcast. Yeah, so I'm telling Tian, we need a podcast, I need a podcast, and
every venture capitalist got a podcast.
Really?
Yeah. Largest percentage of that. Yeah.
It's like running around naked, without a podcast. Well, I'm just making a joke. It's okay.
We're a PG-13 podcast. It's okay.
Okay, Tian. What's your motivation behind starting a podcast with me? I actually never really asked this to you.
Oh, really? We're kind of Uber colleagues, but not interact that much. I'm more on the business side, and I did product launch. The time last year when the crypto hype's coming, I actually quit my job and then full-timely do crypto startup and also join crypto fund. Spend a lot of time on it. So it's an interesting timing, because in a year, I feel I'm going from the highest point to the lowest point. There's a lot of success story, failure story I'm seeing, and they just appear all together, everything flowing to me. So at that time, I feel myself, I'm not quite clear or understand why a startup failed, or why a startup success. Compared to most people sitting here, and probably don't have enough experience to judge this, or to really have a clear mindset about what is good or what is not. Or maybe there's no right answer. That's the reason I actually want to let this become one is my self-reflection, to kind of reflect all the past 10 years, why this is startup success or why they fail. Because everybody knows for the past 10 years, there's a lot of money coming, there's a lot of startup coming, and we see a lot of story and a lot of things happen on a day-to-day basis. And another thing is, I think at this time, a lot of my friends, they are actually first-time startup founder. They're really young. They're fresh off school, or they just work for FAANG for 2 to 3 years and quit the job. So they're either really fresh startup founder, or they just joined a startup and they have a lot of struggles and confusion. So this would be a really good guidance or place for them to share their experience and understand each other, and also grow from all other startup founders' experience. So I think it's one, my personal level because I'm struggle in understand this. Another is I want to really create a reflection place or startup founders community to help those first-time founder and also the first-time startup joiner
great. Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
answer, yeah.
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 I think that's not only just your mission. Like we all kind of feel somewhat in alignment with that mission, right? That's why we want to help each other, especially like the first time founders, right? Or even other people who want to found their own company in the future. Yeah, I really hope there is such place like 10 years ago when I first joined the startup. So, so hopefully we can be that.
That's the reason we were doing this. So I guess maybe I think Kevin, do you have a question to Brian? You haven't raised it. So
Yeah, I have a few
can.
questions for Brian. Yeah. Okay, so this is the question I wanted to ask Brian is because when I first saw Brian, I saw him as like a really fit and very disciplined individual, and I later found out that he actually used to run like some sort of yeah, maybe you can tell us about it, like some sort of fitness like,
startup,
like a consulting
Yeah.
like idea, right?
Yeah, I actually normally don't tell people about this. You wanted to feel people who know about this because it was like a one-off side gig for me back in my college days.
Yeah.
Basically, I was pretty into fitness. I mean, I still live a fit or active lifestyle, but I was like, kind of passionate about everything training, nutrition related. And when I get passionate about something, I tend to get a little bit nerdy. Or
I like
experimental with
nerdy.
it. Yeah, I think we're all nerds here.
Yeah, we're all nerds sitting here.
So I discovered something called flexible dieting. Not sure if anyone of you
Oh,
heard of it.
I heard of it.
You heard
Yeah,
of it?
I actually did some research on it.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
impressive,
Okay.
yeah. So it's for those of you who don't know, it's like a nutritional concept that no matter what your body composition goal is, like bulking or cutting, losing weight, gaining weight,
Yeah.
you can eat any food you want. You shouldn't restrict yourself from certain quote unquote bad foods, right? Like
Okay.
Oreos and potato chips, for example. Two of my favorite snacks, by the way.
Okay.
But here's the catch: as long as those food fit in your macronutrient needs. So the macronutrients are protein, carbs, fat. Those three make up your daily calorie or energy intake.
Yeah.
So as long as you set targets for your daily calorie intake and have a reasonable allocation among those three macros, you're good to go. You can eat any food you want. And I realized that this might be very counterintuitive to your stereotypical diet protocols, like low carb diet, low fat.
I tried all of them and it doesn't work.
Right. I thought it's not sustainable. Like no one can eat the same food every single
That's
day
so
and
boring.
with the low sodium, low carbs intake. So I thought this would be game changing, right? And I realized within the fitness industry, the popularity of flexible dieting was on the rise. But among the mainstream medias, no one was talking about it, and especially, at least when I talked to college students back then, nobody had ever heard about it. So I started blogging about it, and I made the blog post very interesting, like the BuzzFeed style. I have a lot of GIFs, memes, my personal stories, as well as your typical fitness transformation pics, and somehow it turned into an online coaching business for me, because people started reaching out to me and asking me what the specific methodology is about for this flexible dieting thing, and I started taking clients because it's online, so I could take multiple clients at once. Each program is about 3 weeks, and I could take clients from outside of my college as well. Again, because it's online, I would set their calories and macro plan for them. I keep them accountable. I teach them how to track the macros, and they can eat whatever they want as long as they report their daily macro intakes to me and their weigh-ins, everything, right? And I did that for a year, and then I kind of stopped it. Because I was transitioning into my adult life from college to my first job as a consultant.
Okay.
That's a good startup try, I would say.
Yeah.
Like you find the opportunity and you start the testing and then it become bigger and bigger.
Yeah. It was a fun experience, and I helped people, right? But I realized that it was not sustainable. It's not a scalable thing for me to do.
Okay.
But it kind of planted seeds of content creation, because I started with a blog, as well as providing services to people who need them. So that's why even after taking a pause from these sort of activities, because I gotta focus on my corporate world, I still naturally gravitate towards those sort of activities. After a long pause. That's why I'm starting this podcast with everyone here, so I'm super
I
excited.
might have a job for you. I invest in a startup doing exactly same thing with but replacing you with AI.
It's good to know I stopped doing that. I'm getting replaced.
No, not replace. It's like you said, it's not scalable.
Making
You
more
can
scalable.
only
Like
that
next step, kind of.
Yeah, it's the next step. It's just to train an AI model to do that in similar way, accommodating AI nutritionists and wellness planning and the community. So instead of counting on you to hold each other accountable, use a community to incentive people to follow the path that AI made for them. Yeah, I'm gonna engage you.
Yeah, let's talk more about it.
Please keep me in the loop. I need to lose weight. I'll teach you product management stuff for
Or
free.
to be product manager for that startup. That startup need product manager.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool, yeah. Now that our audience learned a little bit more about each one of us, I guess it's time to talk more about the podcast. Why do we want to start the Upturn podcast?
Yes.
Or what's your vision of it? I think Sai touched on that a little bit and we all resonated to it. Do you have anything to add to your original answer?
Yeah, I think I already touched it. Basically, from personal level and the community level. So I actually would love to hear everybody else vision. Maybe start with our moderator. Okay.
Because my prep answer, to be fully transparent, is that I think everybody covers everything already.
Okay.
Fully agree with your vision. Let me start thinking about the answer now. And while I'm thinking about it, let's go to maybe Kevin.
Sure. I think Tian already talked about many good points, right? I'm thinking to maybe share more about my own perspective as like, so I'm like 2-time founder, but I actually joined like maybe 5 other startups. So like mostly fail, and a lot of it I'm still waiting on it. Like, so don't know what will happen to them. But I think the most important thing I want to share is that it's the experience and like that process of doing startup that I'm very passionate about. But at the same time, like it's so hard to find somebody who understands what you're going through, like the struggles, especially like doing this startup with this product. This has a special design back. I designed everything from scratch, so I actually demoed this product over 800 times with this kit. Over like 3 years. That's a magnetic design, so I can save a lot of like consumable like tape and other materials. So I think the main thing I want to share is nobody understands like what you're going through. I think it's not just for startup, also for like even like just like mental, physical wellness, right? You need some mentor or need some peer who can help you and support you, or even just try to understand what you're going through, right? So I feel like that's something that was like not available like during the early days of my startup careers. So oftentimes I actually have to find peace within myself, because I cannot really talk to my parents, right? Because like I don't want to say this is Asian parenting, but they always want me to go to a big company and stable job, right? But I'm like really grateful that I met so many people who can help me. Even like I'm really grateful to meet all of you in the past only a few months, right? We were able to do so many things together. I think a lot of those things are like, it's a rare opportunity, and it's very hard for people to have that kind of connection, especially if you're just building your own like niche problem and product, right? So like hopefully we can build a community that can kind of embrace or even like introduce other valuable connection to each other, and be able to just fight this battle with your team, right? So you're not doing this alone, because I feel like that will make a huge difference if I were to do anything cool again. But yeah, it's not easy. Nothing is easy. And it's even harder to do it by yourself. But like you're not alone. We're here.
That's so sweet.
I think one thing that really resonates with everyone here is the idea of community. So what does a founder need? Does founder just need money? No. Teammates is very essential.
Yes.
But it's really hard to find teammates that can commit and work together in the long term. And even though you have co-founders, a lot of times it's a very lonely journey to be in the startup world.
Right.
And when I think about if I really do have to do a podcast, I don't want to do something just show off how successful my portfolio is about. Because there are plenty of podcasts talk about successful stories. There's plenty of role models out there. I want to kind of zoom in a little bit about some cases that's not so successful. And for very young, first-time entrepreneurs, how they go through their journey. Well, so it's a fact that actually most first-time entrepreneurs don't succeed. So a lot of times we give money out, we don't contribute to success on this project. We reinvest you if it fails because we believe the value is in the human being. Human beings learn from their past experience and grow.
Right.
So I think a lot of times most of incubators and very early stage VCs, angels, has shared this belief, invest in people. So super early stage is really about a personal journey and how you grow. So when I think about podcasts, I want to really talk about what didn't work and show people they're not alone in this didn't work journey.
Yeah.
And when you really dive in, you can figure out everyone has that phrases. We talk about pivot. So pivot is not just like you pivot for several months. Most of the time, I would say pivot is for about 2 to 3 years. If you look at the YC projects, a lot of them, they did a round 2 years later. And they end up successful. But the 2 years, what happened? Sometimes it's even 3, 4 years. People were trying to struggle. People were really chasing after every possibilities, rebranding because they got out compete, or somehow they find actually the need was not there. This is the most stressful experience one can ever go through. But however, if you are serious about doing startups or joining a startup, unfortunately, that's like the journey you have to go through. I really want to zoom in these phrases because that part isn't that fun or cool.
Right.
Most times people want to look at successful stories. Oh, you take up from there. And nowadays people all talk about NVIDIA, right? Because it's successful. So I actually saw a person being asked, why you like NVIDIA? And people say, okay, because they are honorable company. I'm like, no, because they have super high market cap. Their stock price doubled. So it's all about this money thing, and the money and the fame and all those bubbles. People are chasing after it. But that's not the real startup world. It's actually all illusions. I want to zoom into the real startup world where everyone is struggling, smiling, trying to be alive and breathe. That's my competitive edge. I hope. I'm not sure how it will be like, but at least Kevin is onboarded. We had someone. We can count on him to share his struggles, right?
Yeah. Someone who really goes through the past. Yeah, but I think what I can gather from the answer is we care about the community support for founders, and we also care about who's really goes through all the dilemmas and trying to persuade the real things he's believed in. And that's something I feel really valuable. And I can recognize a little bit because I tried joining a crypto startup twice last year, and there's some time I feel like, what's the product market fit? What everybody is doing? Who will buy this product? So those questions, I'm asking thousands of times every day. So that's something I think I want to also learn from this podcast personally. And I think this would be a thing, like you mentioned, before Series A lot of startup founders, they have to go through until they really figure out the things they want to build.
Those are great answers, +1 to all of those. And I really like Tian's point about you're showing what the real startup world looks like, right? Because most of the business podcasts out there are focusing on success stories, and it's sort of promoting a survivor bias a little bit. I got a lot of young people like us pumped about joining startups and just to find out it's not really what they're caring about, you know? So I think it's important to set the expectation right. It will be very helpful. And on that point, one of my personal reasons why I want to do this with you is because, like Ty, we're kind of intrigued by the startup idea, right? And I think there are a lot of people there just like us who are, I would call aspiring founders, who are on the exploratory phase of building a company or product of their own and help the world, right? On this -1 to 0 journey or whatever you call it. And I would love to ask questions on behalf of them instead of only focusing on the existing founders. I think that addressable market is a pretty large one. There's a huge opportunity to help them out as well. I think our talks would be very valuable to them, and that's why I'm here to represent that side of the demographic as well.
That's a large community actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure our VC here would love more people joining. So.
No, actually, I would say protect aspiring founders.
Oh.
Yeah, because sometimes I see those founders, they are not ready for the startup world.
Right.
They don't know what they are signed up to. And then they got into startup world, they tried a project and failed hard. That actually burned them out. They're like, I'm out, I'm not gonna do startup anymore. So that to me actually is a waste of talent.
Oh.
Because they were not meant to be starting at this time. Maybe because they lack of experience in business sense, or just like they are not emotionally, socially strong enough to hold the stress. So a lot of times it's about timing. There's a lot of just external factors you have to consider.
Right.
Your visa sponsorship, your financial status, your personal relationships. And if a founder is not ready, got into the startup world, and then he lost his job, he lost his visa, he had broke up, and he financially is suffering, everything really can crash a person down. And I sometimes see it. It's not this founder isn't talented. It's just that he was ill prepared for the startup journey.
Right.
And the part of me, the motivation behind I want to show the nasty story or the Upturn story is I want to show what it really means to be day-to-day working at a startup world. So you know what you sign up to, and you get yourself ready if we really start doing it. That for me actually save a talent. And sometimes I bring to people say, hey, maybe it's not time for you to quit your full-time job, especially in current market. It's the best way for you to develop yourself, prepare, and then get ready for this. So that's my story. I don't want to encourage everyone to do startup. Only a small amount of people are suitable for startup, and only a small percentage of them are ready now for startup. So don't do startup unless you are super sure you are ready, but it's impossible to be super sure you are ready. Sometimes there is a leap of faith,
Right.
but you need just enough exposure to make you sign up, but not too blindly. So it's an art, but I do want to show that, no, we don't want everyone to jump in and crash and
Yeah.
Kevin, what do you think? From a founder's perspective, do you think people should jump into startup, or to Tian's point, they should really be prepared?
Yeah, I think, definitely want to comment on this. So maybe I can tell a quick story about the first startup I joined. So I was like the first, maybe like 17th employee, and probably like the first product or even like marketing person, because like nobody worked on that kind of things. And the first day when I was in the office, I like to tell this story. Like my boss was a director of marketing. He gave me like a bag of stuff that's like covered with in like those black like non-transparent bags. It was super heavy when I lifted it up. Like I was working out back then too. Like it was really heavy. So I don't know what's inside, but he just told me to throw those things away. So I got really curious. So I opened it up, and it was like hundreds of business cards of people that left the company. And the company was actually only 1.5 years old. And that's like the amount of people they recycle within like 8 months. Maybe like at least 50, not 60 people. But that was like a really harsh reality for me, because I joined the company, I was like so passionate, and then like I saw that thing, and then it's like a huge wake-up call to me. Yeah, startup is super hard, especially without fun, without the right people. You just have to move super fast, or else you might just die, right? So that's like the thing I tell any of the friend who's like, hey, Kevin, I want to join startup. Like, startup's so cool, right? And then I tell them that thing as the first story, because I really agree with both Tian and Cai's comment about definitely you need to take risk to join a startup, but like we all can take like a calculated amount of risk, right? We don't just go like, I mean, we study hard, we go into a good school, and then we want to go to a good company, and we're pretty. There's only so many things you can do to like kind of like make such a bold move, right? Because everything we do one step at a time, we kind of have to kind of be a little bit considerate. Because when you join a startup, or if you want to become a founder, you're not only putting yourself at risk, but you're also putting people around you, like maybe your family, your loved one, your friends at risk as well. So definitely you need leap of faith, but at the same time not do anything like too reckless and like too dangerous, right? So yeah, that's my comment.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
Well, I'm a little bit shocked when you say that like it's all business card.
Yeah, it was so scary. Like when I lifted, I was like, wait, why am I doing this, right? And I actually kept that bag. I still have that bag. Yeah.
Wow.
So every startup I joined, I brought that bag and showed the founding team and say, this is what happened. Like if the company like have to go through some hard decision, right?
Yeah.
So I've been through a few company, and I think that story really helped people to get that picture of this is not easy. It's not like dreamy, like it's not everybody go IPO and then come money, right? I mean that company actually went IPO, and I did got some bonuses, but it went through all that things right in such a short amount of time. So that's why it's like super like scary and like exciting at the same time, and you gotta pick your poison, right? But definitely do it with a calculated way. Yeah.
We need that pocket here. Why are you not bringing it?
Okay. So I moved a few times. I probably had to find it.
Next time, we will see the actual business card back. Yeah.
Very environmental and friendly, very counter ESG.
Yeah, it's super bad. Like that company spends so much money on marketing. Like I have so many things to rant about, but the card itself, like one card is actually 3 cards stacked on each other. Yeah. So I mean, I'll show you next time.
All right. One last topic before we call it an episode. Since this podcast is all about unraveling startup pitfalls, right? And discovering how founders upturn to success, it might be helpful to share our mental model of why startups fail, and when we are going into the founders interview, so our audience know what to expect in our upcoming episodes. And here's a good chart. We'll put that on the screen. This chart shows the top 20 reasons startups fail based on an analysis on 101 startup postmortems put together by CB Insights. It's a really good chart. Shout out to CB Insights. And for those of you who are listening to the audio, I'll briefly explain maybe the top 3 reasons why startups fail. The first one being no market need, with 42% of the startups failed because of that very reason. Second one being, I think many of us would have guessed this one, ran out of cash. Right? Third one is not the right team, with 23% of startups failed because of that reason. So those are the top 3 reasons, some food for thought. I would like maybe each one of us to talk a little bit about which part of the startup journey or common fail reason are you most interested in delving into with our future guests on the show. Feel free to explain more from your own experience if needed.
I think from my own personal experience, I'm probably more interested in the first reason, like no product market fit. One thing is my past job experience is write the value proposition doc at Uber. When I joined crypto startup last year, one thing I probably mentioned a little bit before, it bothered me a lot, was the user who's actually using it. A lot of times I just didn't find the answer. So that's the reason I personally would really be curious about the PMF, and also like a different timing. I think PMF change. Like when you firstly start the niche target market and when you expand it, it's different things. Like take Uber as an example. When you do the 0 to 1 stage, when you expand globally, it's actually different types of product market fit. So I would be more interested in this. Yeah. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, for me, I'm really interested in learning every step of the way. But for the sake of my job title, I think I would ask founders more about their challenges in anything finance related, from whether they've experienced any difficulties in insufficient funding, or like investor interest, or mismanagement of their cash flow. If we want to get more spicy, maybe talk about some risk of raising money from VCs and working with VCs. And it just so happened we have both venture capitalists and founders in the room. So maybe if you guys want to chime in to talk about what you would be interested in asking founders in terms of raising funds and working with VCs specifically.
Well, so
Keep her
depending
thinking.
on the stage, right?
Yeah.
We look at different things at different stage. If it's super early, the product might not be there. MVP could be missing. Even though you have an MVP, it's not something you believe it's going to be the long-term product. So that way, the only asset the team has is the team itself. So most of the time, it's about how you evaluate this person. Is he suitable for this direction? Is he right now the best timing to do a startup? And also, does he have a supportive environment, whether to it be co-founders, team members, social networks? So really, it's personal analysis of the founder and its team. So I would say team analysis is the key thing about the starting point. Because if you think about the no customer needs and the run out of cash, it's all the team's fault. It's not the product's fault. Product always has no fault. Product is, well, just product. And it's the team itself, especially the leader of the team, that needs to set up a vision and keep pivoting, find the product market fit, and also meanwhile keep himself or herself insane and keep the team aligned on the vision to be together. So a lot of times I see the teams fall out very easily, especially during the hard time, the pivot times. People drop out, and sometimes the people just took off. It happens way too frequently, and now we really look at the synergy between the team members more closely. It's not just a one person's game. It's impossible. It's super hard to do a startup by yourself, especially it's venture scale. Even though you are a solo founder, you need supportive environments and ecosystem around you. So I would say VC is all people business. It's nothing about technical, especially in super early stage, in fields that has low, low competitive moat or, especially software, I would say. So some deep tech, pharmaceutical, solo founders work better because it has a high barrier of entry. You don't have that much competition, and you can just work on your vision, your technology to make it work. But a lot of times on the other fields, software, consumer, robotics, those parts has more fierce competition. And the team and the founder itself needs to have more, the team spirit to really bring in all different talents to make it work whole together. It's not easy. And some people are born to be great leaders, but most people actually struggle to learn how to be a startup leader. It's a long way, but we do see people's quality and weigh them to say, what's the chance of this person being a CEO in the future? Or this person actually, he's the founder right now, but we might need to bring another CEO for him or her later. So a team plays a huge thing. And for me, a lot of times my job is trying to recruit, find matching people, say, hey, maybe you guys should combine force together. And do you need a new CEO or CTO? Let me know. I will go find for you. So just recruit the right team a lot of times is the hardest thing, and it's the starting point of everything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have a very interesting case about how startups couldn't deal with joy together. So there was one startup we were looking at. So at first they were struggling, but the team was all united together. They have a pretty promising project. Eventually we decided we will give it a try. They acquired a lead investor, and we were gonna follow. But then when we were just doing more due diligence, the team collapsed. The co-founders took off. What happened? Because they didn't decided on equity division. Before, the project was just like so lame, and people feel like it's not working out. So no one talked about how to divide equity. But at the time, they have the lead investor engaged, and they were seeing this thing as more promising. People started to feel like, I'm the founder, you are co-founder. This was my idea. Investor investing us because of me. Wow. So that's the time really kicking in, and people start to turn back on each other, and the team actually dissolve. And the lead investor even back off because they don't see this team as aligned on the journey together. So that's a very good story of seeing how startups couldn't be together as a whole if you don't have the nasty things discussed earlier. People don't know, and a lot of times I even see companies, it was running all fine, and then suddenly they got a big contract. Everyone was cheering, but then the thing starts like, I contributed to this contract.
Yeah.
So I deserve a title like blah 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 blah. So you listen to me because now I'm the more important person in this company right now.
Money kicking.
Yeah, so money kick in, the dynamic becomes weird because even within the team, who's the lead? Who's the CEO? Who's the major founder? Who listen to whom?
Yes.
It's a really hard thing, and well, I just see it happens all over the times. The lack of harmony, alignment, leadership cause startups to fail, just collapse internally. Even though everything externally is working, but the trust is off. As soon as people start to step on each other and trying to claim their credit before others.
Yeah,
So-
that's really harsh. Yeah, I
Very
think.
dark.
Yeah, I think Kevin's experience. One thing is recall like kind of our discussion about team, and I also want to echo on the timing part you mentioned because that highly related to PMF. Is that like COVID changed a lot, and one thing is recently I'm looking at all the marketplace product which success or fail, and a lot of DoorDash like companies all shut down in the last 2 years. And I think one was in New York. There's a time during COVID, there's a lot of VC-backed delivery company compete for 10 to 15 minutes delivery, which is probably sounds like PMF, product market fit in COVID, but after COVID, none of this is PMF exist. I remember Uber also launched Uber Connect, which is the one you send the files or anything inside the city by Uber driver. During COVID, as some people use it, but after COVID, it's just too expensive to use a Uber driver in the US to deliver things for you. But it actually have better product market fit in like Latin America and Asia as well. So I think timing is a good factor to consider in PMF, and some other like region others are also to consider. But yeah, I just see all those delivery companies shut down. It's a huge number in New York.
Yeah, I think that goes to like a lot of things, right? Besides just the marketplace businesses, the same thing goes to crypto as well, right? During a market where Fed is printing money, you have access to liquidity. A 24/7 online casino sounds like a pretty good value proposition to have, right? That's what DeFi is. But you know, when the liquidity is gone and when we're in a tightened environment, it doesn't look like there's a product market fit anymore. So time is pretty important. Yeah, good point, good point. So there you have it. These are the type of conversations you can expect us to have with our future guests on the show. So stay tuned for it. And if you're listening or watching, let us know which startup pitfall you're interested in learning more about or even personally experienced. Comment below or email us. We would love to learn more about it. So that's a wrap for episode numero uno. Thank you guys for the great discussion. Any parting thoughts before we head to dinner, maybe?
Not for now.
No?
Yeah, I'm hungry. So.
All right. Let's call it a day then. Thank you everyone for tuning in. See you on the next episode.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.